Spirit of the Beehive is a coming-of-age drama from 1973. The film centers around two young girls, played by Ana Torrent and Isabel Telleria, who reside in a small village after the Spanish Civil War. They go to a screening of the 1931 version of Frankenstein, where Anna becomes fascinated with the monster and wonders if he's real. She then wanders the countryside to try and locate him. Honestly, this is a hard movie for me to review, because when you start to break down the story, it sounds like a bunch of nonsense. But believe me when I say, you just have to see it to understand what makes the film so captivating. I think one of the strongest aspects of the film is its perspective. It does a great job framing the viewer's gaze through the eyes of a child. The simple joys she gets from the most mundane things harken back to a more innocent mindset, back when the only thing you tried to do was keep your brain active. These moments have a magical quality to them that's hard to articulate, but every time I watch this, I can't help but smile. Honestly though, the most astounding part of this childhood perspective is the filmmaker's ability to convey a child's lack of comprehension. Not saying that children are stupid, but they sometimes don't know how to feel about certain things. For example, a big part of the film is Torrent's reaction to the floating flower scene in Frankenstein. The scene in the original film starts so endearing, but ends in tragedy when the monster drowns the little girl. A less talented filmmaker would have just had Anna scream and become traumatized, and I'm putting traumatized in quotes by the way, but Torrent doesn't do that. In fact, she quietly sits through the rest of the film and goes home. While lying in bed, the scene plagues her mind. So many questions race through her head as she tries to understand how to feel about what she just saw. She talks to Isabel extensively about it, and without spoiling anything, by the end of the film, I don't think we ever get a clear answer as to how she feels. I think that's a part of childhood we all forget. Sometimes there are things we see that make us feel a way we aren't emotionally ready to comprehend. It isn't until we get older that our minds develop and we're able to process more emotionally complex things. It's a realistic element I never really see in other kid characters. I think this makes the children feel real and their journeys more interesting. Another thing I love is the look of the film. Most of the film has this sepia tone quality that makes it look like a faded photograph from the late 1930s. Like many people, I think this helps the film in a number of ways. One is that it helps frame Torrent's mindset. It feels like the whole world of the film is off kilter, and that Torrent is searching for something to make everything feel right again. I also think it helps exemplify the country's post-war trauma. Yeah, although I briefly mentioned it in my synopsis, the post-war setting does play a significant part in the film. We see lots of dilapidated structures scattered throughout the film that have clearly seen better days. There's enough of each building to where you can infer that there were once families who had lots of happy moments there together. But now, those times are gone. Most war films highlight the horrors of the conflict with graphic imagery, but this film does the opposite. It's beautifully haunting. Another thing I love about the film is its use of the color yellow. At times, it helps evoke a warm yet calming feeling, and at others, it brings to mind a sense of hopelessness or dread. I haven't seen too many movies that use one color with this much depth. It's really something to be in awe of. This is one of those films where you could analyze every scene, and some people have. Part of why I think this film is so difficult to review is because there are so many subtleties to each scene. You know who's a big fan of this film? The late Bill Paxton. Yeah, Hudson from Aliens. Back in 2013, he was one of the guest programmers on TCM, and this was one of his picks. That's actually how I first saw this movie, and I remember him talking about how the performances from the cast always resonated with him. I agree that every actor in this is top-notch. Fernando Gomez and Teresa Gimpera are especially great as the parents. You get a real sense of their affection for their kids, but also the emotional toll that the war has taken on them. They both have such great facial expressions. There are some poignant scenes with the kids where they don't say anything. They give Anna or Isabel a look, and they understand what's being communicated. These are not only powerful moments, but they remind us how sometimes communication in a family can be nonverbal. I think we've all had those moments in our lives where our parents responded with just a look and we thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, or, oh, that look means yes. It's a small detail, but it does a lot. Isabel Telleria is also exceptional as Anna's sister. She has a little better comprehension of the world around her and isn't as affected by the Frankenstein movie. She's a supportive sibling who does her best to help Anna make sense of everything. Probably my favorite piece of acting from her is when Anna and her talk late at night after seeing the movie. She tries to console Anna by breaking down the scene into reality, letting her know the film is make-believe. She does it in a way that only a kid could do. It's very endearing. Something you'll notice in the cast list is that every actor shares the same first name as the character they play. This was because it was lead actress's Ana Torrent's first movie, and she had a tough time distinguishing people's character names from their real ones. So the director just changed all the actors' names to their real names. It's funny to think that this was her movie debut because it's one hell of a debut. Ana Torrent is the performance I want to spotlight. She's the one everyone is usually impressed by, and I am no exception. I think her being a newcomer did a lot to make her performance as great as it is. She conveys a sense of innocence that has a nice charm to it. It's almost as if she's trying to figure out life as it goes along. Not only that, but she's just full of that little kid determination. The kind that makes a child think they can accomplish anything. You find yourself intrigued when she plots to track down the monster. Even though we know he isn't real, we're still curious to see how it all plays out. Above all, she's just a natural. Not once does it feel like like she's playing up to the camera. Torrent has some great facial expressions that convey everything you need to know. Even out of context, everything is clear. Ana Torrent was born July 12, 1966 in Madrid, Spain. I couldn't really find any info as to how she got into acting, but she was cast in this film when she was around 5 years old. The film was a big success and led to more acting jobs. Her next film is another one of my favorite Spanish movies, Raise Ravens, or this title as it's known on Criterion. These two roles led to her becoming a staple in Spanish cinema and allowed for her to have a stable career acting in films. She was able to successfully make a transition into adult roles and had a resurgence in her career in 1996 when she starred in the film Thesis. She garnered multiple award nominations for her part and has been steadily acting in critically acclaimed films since. In fact, at the time I'm recording this, she just starred in Close Your Eyes and has been nominated for 4 different awards for her role. Honestly, before I started doing my research for this video, I wasn't aware of how much of a respected actress Ana Torrent was. I just knew her from this and Raise Ravens. I'm happy to see she's still acting and getting the recognition she deserves. So if you want a fabulous introduction to one of the great Spanish actresses, or want to see one of the best depictions of a child's frame of mind, then I highly recommend Spirit of the Beehive.